What's up, gamers? It's Above, back with another video, and today we'll be covering the must-have artifact mods for Season of the Lost. This includes deep dives into what these mods do, how they work, and potential builds that you can incorporate them into. If you find this information useful and enjoy the content today, a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated. Now let's get into it. Starting with column 1, we have our basic anti-champion mods. At the top, we have anti-barrier auto rifle, and though ARs are decent in the close to mid range, they are outclassed by scouts and pulses in long-range encounters. Unfortunately, this is our only barrier artifact mod this season, which means we'll be dusting off our Ariana's Vow for the longer range grandmasters like the Corrupted and Proving Grounds. Next up, we have Overload Bow. If you haven't used this mod before, it is by far the best overload in the entire game, as they are consistent one-shot stuns. They have the ability to keep champions suppressed for long periods of time, and pair with exotics like Le Monarch and Tiku's Divination extremely well, because you can re-stun champions from burn effects alone. Here we have Unstoppable Pulse Rifle, easily one of the best unstop mods in the entire game. With Unstop Pulse, all you have to do is ADS for about a second, and the unstoppable shot kicks in. This means that you can start clearing ads around a champion, and then ADS and spray transfer onto the champ all within the same magazine, and have an easy one-shot stun. This mod is super easy to use, and I definitely recommend it over something like Unstop Sidearm. Last up, we have Overload Sword, and though this mod is 6 points, it's absolutely worth it, especially because it pairs nicely with another mod later in the artifact by the name of Passive Guard. Overload Sword is fantastic for solo play when farming things like exotics in Lost Sectors, and will be perfect for the Lake of Shadows GM later in the season. Moving on to column 2, we have a mod by the name of Hands On that grants bonus super energy on melee kill. Though I won't be unlocking this mod personally, it could see some use in PvP, especially for you Thundercrash Dune Marcher mains. Just imagine, you're being a menace in Iron Banner, throwing yourself onto the enemy cap point with your death from above, you take out a few guardians and get some bonus super energy in the process. Not bad. Next up, we have Shotgun Dexterity. I highly recommend this mod for a couple reasons. Number 1, hot swapping was recently patched, and if you're anything like me, muscle memory makes these weapon changes feel sluggish. This dexterity mod allows you to swap to your shotgun significantly faster. Number 2, Shotgun Dex is normally a 5-point mod, while the artifact version comes in at just 1 point, which is fantastic value. Not only will it see use in PvP, it will also be used in PvE encounters like Templar, Taniks, and others where slug shotguns are meta. If you're looking for a build to throw this into, double shotgun dexterity and Ophidian aspects actually do a pretty good job emulating pre-nerf double slugging. Next up, we have Sword Scavenger, a 1-point mod that will pair well with the Overload Sword from the first column. Swords burn through ammo pretty quickly, which is why this is a solid pick. Not only does it increase the amount of ammo you pick up off the ground, it also increases your overall reserves. I do want you to bear in mind that multiple copies of this mod no longer stack. The last mod in column 2 is Linear Fusion Rifle targeting. If you feel like you need this, go for it, but I don't see much value here personally. Moving on to column 3, we have Auto Rifle Loader. Though it's a decent mod, we only have 12 unlocks, so I'll be going for mods that are more impactful on my day-to-day gameplay. Next, we have Shotgun Ammo Finder, another solid mod here, as shotguns are used a lot in PvE, and it saves 2 points from the standard mod. This is a solid choice, especially with how prominent slug shotguns are in the current meta. Next up, we have Passive Guard. Please, do yourself a favor and unlock this mod. Passive Guard provides a 60% damage resist to enemies that are close to you while wielding a sword. This makes Overload Sword viable even in activities like Grandmaster Nightballs. This mod even stacks with Protective Light, which adds an additional 50% damage resist when your shields are broken. So yeah, you're basically a walking tank. My fire team was running Overload Sword while 25 under the recommended power of the Master Nightball this week, and we were getting out of situations that we had no business living through. Next, we have Fusion Scavenger. Definitely a solid pickup, as it gives you scav benefits for both fusions and linear fusions in a single mod for just 3 points. The last mod in column 3 is Sidearm Dexterity, so Yeah, moving on. Column 4 and 5 artifact mods have historically been the most powerful, single-handedly shifting the weapon and subclass metas each season. And though they're expensive, these mods are extremely strong, and this season's mods are no exception. Starting us off, we have Unstop Fusion. This 6-point mod provides a lot of versatility, as it allows you to unstop with both fusions and linear fusions alike. With many of the best mods revolving around fusion rifles this season, Unstop Fusion fits in perfectly as it allows you to run diverse loadouts that are going to absolutely slay in endgame PvE content. Next up, we have Withering Heat. This mod states that causing damage with a solar ability weakens champions for a short duration. This mod provides a 30% debuff to champions, and though this mod seems strong on paper, it is very situational due to the fact that it only works against champions. If this worked against bosses, Atheon would get absolutely melted by the typical fusion nade spam, which is probably why they limited it to just champions in the first place. This mod also has to compete against both Passive Guard and Particle Deconstruction in the class item mod slot, both of which are much stronger and more versatile in my opinion. Next, we have Resonance Siphon. This mod refunds 1/3 of your stasis abilities each time you or your teammates stun a champion. This includes your class ability, melee, and grenade, and it does them all simultaneously. This is fantastic because stasis ability recharge times are extremely long compared to other subclasses, and at just 2 points, it can be paired with some of the best artifact mods in the game. With how strong stasis is in PvE right now, I can't recommend this mod enough. Thermoclastic Strike is another stasis mod that states solar and stasis melees have the ability to disrupt overload champions. Each time you stun a champion, it will refresh your melee ability. This sounds great in theory, but while testing, I found it to be very unreliable. It's able to stun champions for sure, but it doesn't have enough of a lingering effect to prevent them from healing. If you want to use this as a backup form of stun for your fire team, especially in dire situations, that's fine, but I would never recommend this as a sole form of overload in high-end content. The next two mods are based around elemental wells, and to be honest, I personally haven't used them all that much. From the descriptions of the mods, however, I don't think they warrant one of our 12 mod slots. Fire and Ice spawns solar and stasis wells when defeating a champion, while Well of Potency grants you super energy when picking up a matching elemental well. Now that Warmind Cell mods have been nerfed enough to free up the sandbox, I'll definitely be diving into these more in the near future. Next up, we have Pyretic Embrace. This mod restores you to full health and shields when casting a solar super. I don't see much value for this in PvE outside of panic super situations, but in PvP, casting a super when you're low can really deceive enemies. They might get you low, hear you pop your super, and start to push, only to find out that you've regained all of your health when they try to shut you down. If you're mainly a PvP player, I would recommend this mod for sure, but for PvE, I don't think I'm going to be recommending it this time around. Thermoclastic Blooming is a mod that creates an orb of power each time you defeat a target with a stasis or solar ability. I can definitely see some value here, but it's quite niche, so I can't recommend this mod either. Next up, we have Focusing Lens that states your light abilities do bonus damage to combatants affected by stasis. This mod is incredibly strong, as this is a 30% debuff. This mod was fantastic the last time it came around, with one example being Atrax, where you'd simply throw a Dustfield nade on the boss and let your Curus of the Falling Star Thundercrash Titans do the rest. The Shadebinder stasis turret wasn't even being used all that much back then, which means this mod will be even stronger this time around. Literally anything tagged by your stasis turret will be debuffed by 30% for all of your light abilities, which is insane value for just 3 points. Last, but certainly not least, we have Particle Deconstruction. This is hands down the best artifact mod this season, stating that dealing damage with a fusion or linear fusion rifle grants bonus damage against that combatant for a short duration and stacks up to 5 times. This mod is absolutely busted and will make fusions a mainstay in your loadout for the rest of the season. At 5 stacks, which is really quite easy to achieve, it grants 41% bonus damage. And what's cool about this mod is that the debuffs work for you and your teammates that are using fusions as well, meaning you can debuff targets for each other. The other great part about this mod is the fact that it's not limited to just champions and bosses. It quite literally works on every enemy in the game. This means that you get bonus damage for shooting your gun in a first-person shooter, basically for free. If you guys want to try some absolutely insane weapons to pair with this mod, I highly recommend Vex Mythoclast. It's insane after its recent buff, and when combined with particle deconstruction, it's quite literally doing 80% more damage than it was last season. It's also a primary weapon, which means it has unlimited ammo, and the alternative fire mode puts its burst damage up there with some of the best special weapons in the game. That being said, I know that most of you don't have this gun just yet, which is why I'm also recommending Merciless, Jotun, 1K, Telesto, No Composure, and Plug 1, as they are all nasty options. Why? Because each bolt or tick of burn damage from these weapons counts as an individual damage stack, which means they instantly jump to the 41% damage multiplier. I've been messing around with these weapons a ton because they're nasty with particle deconstruction and are also capable of stunning unstoppable champions. These will absolutely be meta picks all season long. What a crazy shift to the sandbox. I honestly never thought I'd see the day that fusions would be meta, but it's honestly such a massive breath of fresh air. If you guys enjoyed the video today and found it useful, a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated, and be sure to leave a comment down below with your favorite build so far this season. Anyways, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace!